Hi everyone and welcome to Franca's Fab Family. I am who? Franca! Thank you for tuning in, and I really hope that you have enjoyed the show for this whole week. We've been looking at health, psychological health, emotional health, physical health in terms of working out, making sure your children get 20 to 30 minutes of exercise a day, as well as healthy eating habits. Make sure your children are getting healthy fruits and vegetables and really allowing their organs and their body to grow in early childhood. That was critical in terms of how they will function later on in adult life. But today we're going to look at two areas quickly. We're going to look at spiritual health and sexual health. These are other two categories of health that many of us were not really taught or encouraged or nourished in early childhood, and I think that they are critical parts of life. So let's quickly look at sexual health. Sexual health is helping your child to understand and develop who they are in the gender in which they were born in. We're not going through the whole that whole shift that has taken place. We're not talking about that. Each house, each household, each parent, you have all right to do what you want with your children. But I am talking about in early childhood, getting your child or children to understand that the gender in which they were born into is actually having a conversation as early as possible, getting them to understand that they're fine. Like you're fine. You're born a girl, you're fine. You're born a boy, you're fine. You know, and all of the other gray areas in between, that's for each family to deal with individually. So I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about really promoting self-love and self-worth into how you are. As your child begins to express certain things, then you need to have different kind of conversations with them. Many times children need to know that in childhood, no one is supposed to touch your private sexual parts. Because what happens, we have a saying in the Caribbean, to force ripe a mango, you have mangoes on the trees, right? And they're not ready. They're still hard and firm and they're not ready. But if you go and you feel up the mango, every now and again you pass it because you want to eat the mango, but it's not ready, it's not ripe. It has not entered its fruit stage for picking, or in human life, like its puberty or its peak in sexuality. It's still a child. Unfortunately, many children that are molested or force-raped were felt up sexually as children. Many of them were felt up sexually with same-sex people as children or opposite-sex people as children. Children are not to be sexualized. Children should not be thinking as to who they want to have a mate with before the age of 10. That's not the kind of conversation or the mental, psychological health emotions that your children should be experiencing. From 10 and younger, your children should be understanding how their body functions, how their mind functions, how their emotion functions, and how to bring out the best in them. Now, I'm not getting into the debate that we know this out there, and I accept everyone for who they are in adult life. I accept every child for who they are in childhood life. But again, I'm having a concern with parents deciding that children get to raise themselves. Children are not to raise themselves. Children are to be guided to understand who they are. Is that parents have a major influence on their children in every way, shape, or form. Yesterday, I spoke about healthy eating or unhealthy eating habits. If you as an adult that will quickly go and buy McDonald's or eat a whole bag of chips compared to going and get a fruit, that's the same behavior pattern that your children will exhibit. Now, we know that there's exceptions to every single rule. So please, I am not getting into the debate of any of these things. But what I'm saying is that sexual health is important in the development of children, just like psychological, just like emotional, and just like physical. A child needs to know that their gender parts are okay. All of my children, I have given them a small mirror. Go and look at yourself in the mirror. A little girl, go and look at what you look like down there. A boy, I have mirrors all over my house. Every child has a full-length mirror in their room. Go and look at your body naked. Preferably a father will have a conversation with their son, or if you're a mom, a single mom, and your sons don't mind having that conversation about their body parts with you. But a woman, have these conversations with your daughters. When my daughter started to bud and her boobs started growing and she started going through all the pain, she was like, oh my God, and she was feeling ashamed. I remember her covering up like something was wrong, and I said, we had several conversations like, baby, no. Your body is going through the natural development of being born a female. When my boys, Gabe, not so much anymore. Luke, no. Jordan, definitely no. Like, they don't allow me to see them naked anymore at all. But when they were younger and I was able to see them naked, I was able to explain to them their body parts. Explain to them how to properly clean it. Go online with them and watch a video on how does the penis work, what are the testes, what are those two little seeds inside. Like, it's a neutral conversation about the gender in which your child was born in. It has nothing to do with sexual preferences. Gender conversation and sexual health is very important. Your children has to understand that. Your children must know that no one is supposed to touch them and stir up feelings of like these sexual natures. I remember growing up, a friend of mine, her sister was molested at 9, and their family didn't find out until the girl was about 12 because she was pregnant for her mother's boyfriend, right? And unfortunately, I don't think that little girl received the support that she needed, because, you know, like when sometimes people like to be like, oh, she's grown, this little girl is grown. You can't be grown at 9 and 12. Your mind can be manipulated into thinking you're enjoying what this adult pedophile is doing to you. Your body becomes forced right. So you would think that you're enjoying the sex, but you're really just mentally and physically being violated. Children have an opportunity to be extremely violated by the adults in their life, and sexual violation definitely is an area of concern. When a child understands their femininity or their masculinity or their body parts from early on, and learn to enjoy and appreciate them as they are, outside of sexual preferences, those are conversations later on. You minimize those things in your children. If, for example, you found your little baby watching porn, watching sex, you will have to have a conversation, because your child's mind now has been exposed to sexual desires at an early age that you have to have a conversation on. You have to walk them through on, this is not something that you should engage in or entertain at this age, because your brain and your emotions are not developed to understand and really function in that capacity. But you have to have a conversation. You can't just ignore it with your children. These things are critical. Sexual health is important. Now we're going to look at spiritual health. Spiritual health is also very, very important. Like psychological and mental health, like emotional health, like physical health, like sexual health, spiritual health is important. Spiritual health is when you are grounded in something greater than you. Unfortunately, you people out there who don't believe in God or don't believe in a creator or I really don't know what to say. From very, very young, I've always just believed that there was someone or something bigger than me. Somebody has to be orchestrating all of this. One of my earliest signs was when I remember I took a microfine glass and I looked at my skin. And if you looked at it, you will see tiny, tiny little squares or shapes or whatever they come in. Tiny, tiny, like tiny, so many of them. And I remember thinking, oh my God, like we are made so miraculously. And then when I learned about the respiratory system, the digestive system, the reproductive system, the circulatory system, like how our bodies really, really function, I said, no way, it got to be somebody bigger than this orchestrating all of this. The way the planet moves, the stars, the grass, everything. So me personally, in my house, we believe in God. We believe that definitely someone else is overseeing all of this madness. And then the miracles that I have lived through and I've watched my children go through, we are spiritually grounded. that no matter what happens, no matter what I'm going through, there is somebody somewhere looking out for me. And I teach my children that if you can't depend on you, you must depend on the Creator. Spiritual life and spiritual health is important. When you wake up in the morning, bless God for life. Thank you for another day. When you get back home from school and you going in your bed and you get to live another day, in addition to the affirmations that you tell yourself, bless life, bless God for seeing you through another day, and ask for another day, because on a daily basis, somebody dies. On a daily basis, somebody is born. Something somewhere is orchestrating this. So spiritual health in every family is important. Whatever your religion is, whatever you believe in, you must transfer that to your children, because it's an external power that is bigger than you that is governing all of this that is happening. And the earlier children understand that, the better they are also grounded in the belief and in the understanding that the Creator that created all things, the power that is making sure everything still functions within harmony and the laws of life, we are a part of. And our children need to acknowledge that. So my children, we wake up to meditation, we wake up to prayer, we wake up to journaling. We do these things because it grounds us, and then we're able to build off of everything else that our body is so wonderfully made to sustain itself in all shapes and forms. The different forms of health, my people, are very critical that we take some time to teach our children. Psychological and mental health is important. It's how we think about ourselves. Emotional health is also equally as important. It's how we feel about ourselves. Physical health is how our body functions to its maximum capacity. Sexual health is how we reproduce, and the gender and the body in which and the pleasures of life that we can enjoy through this body. And spiritual health is how we're grounded in understanding that something somewhere is bigger than us. Someone is orchestrating and helping all of these laws and these things in life to say the ocean can only go but so far. The gravitational pull keeps us here. Somebody made order in all of this. And being a woman and understanding how life grew inside of me and came out of me, I am convinced, without a shadow of a doubt, that someone, somewhere, which I call God, is responsible for all of this. So I ground myself in spiritual health. I develop them in spiritual health. That if you can't even depend on you, because you will come across people in life you definitely can't depend on. And sometimes you can't even depend on yourself. But you could depend on who has the moon in the sky, the sun in the sky, life breathing through you, the grass growing, whatever. All of these different categories of life in early childhood, if children are exposed to them better, they build self-esteem, they build self-confidence, they build self-worth. You are grounded in something. You can talk yourself out of bad situations. When a person comes into your life to cause damage and hurt and destruction to your life, when you are grounded in these health areas of life, you can easily identify a bad person. You could easily identify a bad situation. So when your children are at a job that they're being taken advantage of in adult life, when they're in an abusive relationship, a toxic relationship, they can have the strength within themselves to say, no, I know love. I know I am valued. You are not treating me well. I can walk away without giving up years of their life in hopes that another person change. We must all develop and change into our best self. Let's give and empower our children. The earlier, the better. A child who has a big emotional outburst that gets to sit still for just 5 minutes and just breathe will develop self-control. These things are there. The information is out there. We are no longer at an age that we have to wait 3 or 4 months for a letter to come to us. We literally are impatiently waiting on a couple seconds if the internet is slow. we as the adults of the world have the power and the knowledge and the ability to do better than what was done to us. Let us continue to do them to our children in all shapes and forms. These categories of health are critical in helping your children become their best adult self, as well as managing their childhood life in a happy way, right? So after we go through all of these parental sessions and stuff, I'm going to show you my skills in the kitchen. I am Franca Potter. Have yourself a wonderful day. Have a wonderful weekend. Stay blessed. Love yourself and each other. Take care.